He thought he was untouchable, sitting there, controller in hand, beer in the other, calling me names like I was a joke. But what he didn't know was that I'd already found a way to make him lose every single time, without ever touching his game. Because if he was going to call me a bitch, then I was going to show him exactly how powerful a bitch could be. If you've ever been disrespected by someone who thought they could walk all over you, this one's for you. Hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready for one of the most quietly savage and emotionally satisfying revenge stories you'll hear today. Because sometimes, the sweetest justice isn't loud, it's silent. Ethan had once bragged that his PlayStation could connect to our Wi-Fi network through his account. I remembered setting it up with him. And I also remembered that my phone could access the router controls, and even individual device connections. At first, I didn't plan anything. I just stared at that connected devices list. Then my eyes landed on PS5, Ethan. A small smile formed. It wasn't malicious. It was poetic. He was deep in another game, headset on, cursing, shouting commands to his friends. And I, very calmly, tapped. Disconnect device. Click. Instant silence from the TV. What the? Babe, the Wi-Fi just cut out. Did you reset it? I asked innocently. No, the router looks fine. My phone's still connected. He frowned, confusion turning into frustration. He restarted the PlayStation, checked the cables, muttered under his breath. When it finally came back on, I reconnected it quietly. He sighed with relief. Finally. Stupid console. But just as he loaded his next match. Click, disconnected again. He groaned, louder this time. What the hell is wrong with this thing? It keeps losing internet. I tried to hold back a laugh. Oh? Maybe your console's just tired of being yelled at. He shot me a look. I smiled sweetly. He rebooted again. This time, I waited until his match timer hit 0:05 before disconnecting it once more. The sound of his rage echoing through the room was priceless. Why does this keep happening? Maybe, I said. Karma doesn't like your attitude. He didn't catch it. But I did, the delicious irony of it all. For every insult, every cruel word, every time he made me feel small, I now held a quiet little button that could crumble his patience piece by piece. When I was 20, I was in a relationship that looked fine from the outside, but inside, it was slowly breaking me. My ex, let's call him Ethan, had this charm that everyone else saw. He could make anyone laugh, light up a room, play the part of the perfect boyfriend. But behind closed doors, he was different. It started small, jokes that didn't feel like jokes. Don't get so emotional, he'd say whenever I tried to explain how something hurt me. Then, the nights he'd drink came. And that's when the names started. You're overreacting. You're crazy. You're such a bitch. Each word landed like a bruise you couldn't see. I'd sit there, forcing a smile, pretending I didn't care, but inside it burned. Because the person I loved most was slowly teaching me that my feelings didn't matter. And that's the thing about emotional pain, it doesn't explode. It seeps in quietly. Until one day, it fills every corner of you. It was a Friday night. He was drinking, laughing with his friends over voice chat while I sat on the couch behind him, scrolling on my phone. He died in his game and, out of nowhere, snapped at me. Ugh, maybe if you weren't breathing so loud, I'd actually win a match. Then he chuckled. Like it was funny. Something in me snapped. Not in anger, but in realization. If he saw me as powerless, then maybe it was time to remind him who really held the power. And ironically, the key to that power was sitting right there in my hand. My phone. I didn't do it every day. That would have made it obvious. No, I was smarter than that. I picked my moments, random nights, right as he was bragging to his friends, or just when he started getting comfortable. He'd yell, reset, curse, and groan. Sometimes his friends would hear and tease him. Dude, fix your internet already. Bro, maybe it's a sign to stop raging. And I'd just sit there in the background, sipping my tea, pretending to read something on my phone. What made it so satisfying wasn't the act itself, it was the control. For months, he'd controlled how I felt. He decided when I was too emotional, when I was wrong, when I deserved silence or mockery. Now I was the one deciding when he got to play. When his world connected, or disconnected. It was poetic justice wrapped in Wi-Fi signals. Here's the thing I didn't expect, it wasn't just about revenge anymore. It became healing. Every time I pressed that button, I wasn't just cutting his connection. I was reconnecting with myself. With the version of me that had been quiet, scared, and desperate for respect. Eventually, I didn't even care if he found out. He never did, though. He just started complaining to his friends that his PlayStation was cursed, that maybe Sony made a bad batch. He stopped playing altogether. And one night, I realized, the silence in the apartment was finally peaceful. A few months later, I left him. No shouting, no fight, no tears. Just a quiet goodbye. He texted a few times, but I didn't respond. Because you can't connect to someone who doesn't deserve your signal. And every now and then, when I see a PlayStation ad pop up, I smile. Not because of the revenge, but because it reminds me that even when you feel powerless, you're not. Sometimes, all it takes is pressing the right button at the right time. The day I packed my bags and walked out, he called me one last time, saying his new internet setup was still acting weird. I almost laughed. Because maybe, just maybe, the universe decided to keep disconnecting him from every woman who deserved better. Revenge doesn't always need explosions or drama. Sometimes it's the quiet victories, the moments when you take back your peace, your control, and your self-worth, that mean the most. Because the best kind of revenge is living in peace while they're still trying to reconnect. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button, and tell me in the comments. Have you ever found a silent way to get justice? Don't forget to subscribe for more true, emotionally satisfying revenge stories every week. And remember, stay strong, stay kind, and never let anyone disconnect your worth.